So here, welcome back. So here we're going to be doing the chapter 11.1 depreciation units of production exercises. So here we have a total of 6 questions, okay? All right. So question number 1 says that you purchased a printer for $150, okay, with no salvage value, okay? Its useful life is 5 years and it can produce up to 10,000 pages, okay? And of course, you put this printer into service on January 12th. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what the components we need. So we already know what the depreciation basis is. So what is my asset? What did I buy?
$150 printer.
Okay, you bought a printer, okay? Printer, and it was for $150. Okay, good. What's the salvage value?
Nothing.
Yes, that means at the end of its life, it should be worth nothing. Okay, $0 value. Okay. What about its useful life?
10,000 pages, so that means it's an HP printer.
All right, so the capacity here, that means it can only produce up to 10,000 pages, right? Of course, obviously the printer, right? This is just a random number. So again, it can produce up to 10,000 pages, okay? Again, it doesn't matter what year it has because ultimately we care about the capacity, so the useful life doesn't matter in this case. So what's the date I actually placed it into service?
January 12th.
January 12th. So therefore, what month should I depreciate this? Or when? January. So again, January 12th is the date. So therefore, you are going to depreciate it for the month of January. Now, here's the assumption here. I'm going to depreciate it every year. So in this case, if I'm depreciating as of January all the way to December, it's going to be 1 full year. So let's go ahead and practice this. What is going to be my depreciation basis?
$150.
$150, okay, right? Because it's your asset cost minus your salvage value, which is 0. So therefore, $150 should be your depreciation basis. What's going to be my per unit rate?
$149.98.
That's not the per unit rate. $149 is not correct.
15 cents.
Let's see, 15 cents, right? If I take my 150 and I divide it by the number of units that it can produce, right? The total of it, which is 10,000 pages. I should,
0.02.
okay, so in this case, it's rounded, right? But if I extend my number out, Felipe is correct. It is about 1.5 cents.
Yeah, I should
Okay.
say that 0.0 first. I'm sorry.
No worries. Okay, so good. So now that we have this number, right? Best rule of thumb is because you have half a penny. You should apply your equal round. Okay? So in this case, if I produce that year a total of 2,100 pages, what is going to be my depreciation expense for that year?
$150.
Okay, comma 2. I don't think it's $150.
$31.15.
$31.50. So once again, we're going to multiply this number by the number it produced that year. So in this case, we're multiplying it by the 2,100 to get me a total of the 3,150. Now, of course, you can, if you're really good at this, you can use a calculator and you'd be able to figure the same amount as well. If it costs you 1.5 cents, multiply it by the 2,100, you should be able to get 31.50. So what's my accumulated depreciation for the first year then?
Since we don't know the before, it would be, since we don't know the previous year, we would just use the current year.
Correct. So in this case, what's my accumulated depreciation for year one?
The 31.50.
31.50. Yes. So again, there is no accumulated depreciation for the previous year, right? Because we're starting the depreciation this year. So in this case, my assumption is that it's 0. Plus the current depreciation expense for that year, which was a 31.50. So therefore, you are correct. It is $31.50. So then, what is going to be my book value?
118.50.
118.50. So we take the 150, right? The asset cost, right? If you guys want to use Excel to pull down the formulas, then you're gonna have to need to make this cell to be an absolute value or an absolute cell reference, okay? Because this number is gonna not ever change, especially because I'm cell referencing. So in this case, it's always going to be $150, and it's always going to be subtract this accumulated depreciation for that year, which does give us $118.50. Okay, good. All right, let's go ahead and solve for the depreciation basis for year 2. What's my depreciation expense basis for the year 2?
So the 150.
It'd still be the 150, right? Because in this case, the depreciation basis doesn't ever change once you solve the first one, right? The formula's still going to be the same. It's still going to be your asset cost minus your salvage value. So in this case, if I'm cell referencing it, right, this is going to be constant, right? And this number is going to be constant because we know that the salvage value is still 0. So therefore, it should still reflect as 150. And if I were to apply this to the rest of the bottom, they should all be 150, right? Year 3, same thing. Cost of the asset minus salvage value. Cost of the asset minus salvage value. So we know for a fact that this column right here should stay the same. What else? Okay, so what's my per unit rate for the second year?
7 cents.
Let's try again. What number are you using?
The 150 divided by the 2200.
Now that's how many it produced that year. What's its total capacity?
10,000.
10,000. So in this case, if it's going to be my depreciation basis divided by my 10,000,
Oh, the same as above.
it's going to be the same as above. So in this case, since it's the same as above, then you should be able to recognize that it's going to be the same for all 5 years. Okay, and I'm going to extend it out just a bit. Excuse me. One more. Ooh, excuse me. All right, so here we are. It's still going to cost me 1.5 cents. Excuse me. All right, so there we are. Now, the only difference that we're going to be calculating now is how much is it going to cost me every month? Or in this case, what's my depreciation for every year? So in this case, if I produce a total of 2,200 pages, how much is going to be my depreciation expense for year 2?
Bless you, and it's gonna be $33. So accumulated depreciation, it's gonna be the 118.50 plus the 33.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Okay, so $33. Okay, so this time, what's my accumulated depreciation for the second year?
Sorry. It's gonna be 118.50 minus the $33. Oh, sorry.
No, not for the accumulated depreciation.
But for $33? Oh no, we're doing the accumulated one.
Yeah, we're doing accumulated right now.
Previous years.
So it's gonna be the 31.50 plus the 33 comes out at 60.
450.
Good. 64.50. Yes. So your accumulated depreciation basically is your running total of how much you need to depreciate in total for year 2. So therefore, what is going to be my book value?
85.50.
85.50. So we're going to take my asset cost of 150. So once again, this number will never change. However, we know that my accumulated depreciation will change. So 64.50. So in this case, $85.50 is correct. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and solve for the next one. What's my depreciation?
If I drag my depreciation basis down, it's giving me all kinds of different messages.
It's because you didn't cell reference. Or I mean, you didn't use absolute values. So do you remember the key that helps you toggle between the absolute value?
No.
That should definitely be something you learned in Excel. Your F4 key. So when I don't want, so for example, see, in this case, you said depreciation basis is the one that you're picking up.
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't add these absolute value, which is the I guess in this case it's the dollar signs in between each one. If you don't set those up, what happens is that you're going to be continuing a relative cell reference, meaning it's going to pick up the cell below it. It's always going to pick up the cell below it, below it, below it, below it. Okay? If you are only picking up this cell and you don't want to ever change it, you definitely want to use the absolute cell reference, which in this case, right, these number signs are here. Now, if you watched me very carefully, right, I could type it in, but then again, that's more work for you if I have to go C, dollar sign, what is this, $14 sign. That's gonna take you a lot more work to have to enter in those dollar signs. So the easiest way to do it is using your F4 function key. So if I want to only take this cell and only keep it at that cell, I click on it and I click the F4 key and it should automatically absolute it, meaning it's not gonna move at all. I'm gonna constantly be taking that exact cell and it's gonna stay that way. So same thing here with my salvage value. I know for a fact that this formula right here is always going to be the asset cost minus the salvage value. So in this case, I'm going to absolute cell reference this one too because I'm not going to pick up the one below it. So that's the whole purpose between the relative and absolute. Absolute, you're only picking that one cell and that one cell only. Relative, it moves along as you go ahead and pull the formula down, right? It's going to pick up the cell below it for every single cell that you enter that formula for. So in this case, right here, I have G8. I need to make sure it doesn't move. So therefore, I'm going to make an absolute. And then when I enter, it's only going to be picking up that information. So look, so if I pull that information down, this is what it says here. It's still picking up the C here and the G8. Same thing here. It's still picking up C8 and G8. Okay, so that's called absolute cell referencing. Okay, it's definitely something you should have learned in the advanced Excel.
Do advanced.
You didn't do the advanced?
No, I just did the beginner's Excel.
Got it. Okay, perfect.
But I got it now.
Okay, perfect. So that's just how you utilize the Excel to make sure you're not pulling the formula down and pulling all random cells. You want to make sure that you cell reference it, and if it's something that you're not going to be moving and you're going to be constantly using that same number, you want to create an absolute cell reference around it. Okay. All right, so then the next one again, same thing here, right? Except this one, it's relative because I'm picking up the depreciation basis. The only number that I've claimed as a absolute is going to be my 10,000. So therefore, if I pull my formula down, it should be taking this cell, of course, and that it's going to pull that 10,000 down as well. Okay, so therefore, there you go. So what is going to be my depreciation expense for year 3?
$28.50.
$28.50. Let's see. Good. Okay.
Then $93.
Okay, so good. Then the next portion here is the accumulated depreciation for year 3 is going to be, you're taking the $64.50 plus the $28.50, and you should get $93. So then, therefore, what should be my book value?
$57.
It should be $57. Okay. What about my depreciation expense for year 4? Hello?
I'm trying to do the math.
Okay.
$30.
Okay, it's going to be your 2,000 times the 1.5 cents.
$30.
$30, good.
Then $123 accumulate fresh.
Good. Okay. And then what about your book value?
Can you just go 0 or?
No, it'd be 27.
Oh, it would be 27. Sorry.
Okay, good. Because remember, we didn't reach 0 yet.
Yeah, we're there next.
Okay, yes, we're very close though. Because let's go see what happened for year 5.
Can you give me a second to catch up?
Yep.
Depreciation.
Uh-huh. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Go ahead. What's the depreciation expense for year 5?
$27.
Okay, so this time we have 18 times the 1.5 pennies. Should give you, excuse me,
And then 150 for the accumulated depreciation.
okay?
Bless you.
Thank you.
You need to take your allergy pill. Come on, homie.
I
Call your mom.
I took it this morning, and it's because it's super windy outside.
Yeah.
All right, so
Now
what's
the
my,
super out.
We're at 0.
now we're at 0? Perfect, good. Right, here is a perfect example of how we take the units of production, right? So let's go ahead and verify one thing. Did we meet our capacity?
Yes.
Good, right? If you calculated the total amount, you should have reached capacity. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what the next question asks you. So question number 2 asks you to journalize for the depreciation expense for the first year. So in this case, what's my journal going to be? Assuming that the depreciation is done at the end of the year, so December 31st. So what's my journal? How should my journal look like?
Purchase expense for printer?
Okay, so we've already made our purchase of the item, so there's no need to. We're just journalizing the depreciation expense. Yeah,
Depreciation expense.
depreciation expense. Okay. What's going to be our contra? Or my credit account?
Accumulated depreciation.
Accumulated depreciation, right? We're not directly taking it off from the asset itself because we can't do that. So accumulated depreciation. Depreciation. Okay, good. For how much? What was my first year's depreciation expense?
150.
$31.50. Okay, so therefore $31.50 is going to be my accumulated depreciation. Okay. Now question number 3 asks to record the transaction or record the adjustment entry for the second year of depreciation. So what is my depreciation or what is my journal going to look like at the end of the second year? So once again, assuming that the depreciation is done at the end of the year.
$33.
Good. It's going to be for $33, right? The journal's going to look identical. So you're going to have your depreciation expense and your accumulated depreciation. But there's this time we're dealing with the second year, which we did for $33. So the answer is going to be $33. Okay. And once again, these should be in dollar sign. Okay. Good. Excellent. Okay. So now let's move on to question number 7. All right, is everyone okay with the first one? Okay. So then let's move on to question number 4. So here we have, okay, that we purchased a truck, okay, for $36,080, okay, which includes all fees. So, registration fees, all that jazz. And it has a salvage value of at least $5,000 at the end of its useful life, okay? Its useful life is going to be 7 years and can and it has a mileage up to 150,000 miles. Okay, you put this truck into service as of August 25th. All right. Assume that the adjustment are always done at the end of the year. So in this case, here we are. What is my asset? What did I buy?
Truck.
You bought a truck. Good. All right. How much did the truck cost me?
3680.
$36.80. Okay. How much is my salvage value?
5,000.
5,000. Okay. What was the number of units produced? In this case, it's in mileage. How many miles can this truck run for?
150,000.
150,000. Okay. What about the date that I placed into service? August 25th. So therefore, what does that mean? What does that tell us? 2 months, you said?
Yes.
Let's calculate that again. When do you actually start depreciating it?
The first month you drive it, so you start September.
September. All right, September, October, November, December. So how many months is that?
Quarter of the year, so
4.
4. Now in this case, all right, we drove it for the 4 months. We drove it for a total of 10,000 miles. Okay? So that was the first year. For the first 4 months, I drove it 10,000 miles. Okay? So what is going to be my depreciation basis for the first year?
1,320.
1,320. No. What's the depreciation basis going to be?
The cost of the asset, which is a 3680
Good.
minus the salvage value.
Of 5,000.
$31.80.
3180. Yes. Good. Okay. Okay, so if we take the 3680 and we minus $5,000 out of it, right? What should we get? So I think you might have taken 3680 minus the 5,000. Oh no, that wouldn't even make sense either, but yes. Okay, so it should be 31,080 left. Okay, what's going to be my per unit rate?
So on my calculator on my iPhone, I got I got 4.662E9. I have no idea what the E9 means.
E9 means there's a bunch of zeros that go before it.
Oh, okay. So
So it'd be 0.000004 or something, right?
I got 4.662E. Yeah. So I'm not using Excel right now.
That's okay. So anybody else? What did you guys solve for? What's the per unit rate going to be?
Yeah, I'm talking and I'm muted. Hold on. I
No
just had
worries.
it. I hit enter and they erased it.
Okay.
$3.11.
Okay, so
Yeah. 311.
I did not get 311. So what number did you guys use?
Depreciation basis divided by the number of units.
Produce that year?
Oh, geez, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's where I messed up.
Okay, so remember, it's the formula for the per unit rate is the total amount of units it could produce in general. All right? Because the total units that you use for that year is going to determine your depreciation expense. So remember, the formula is the total amount of units that it could produce overall. Okay, so in this case, it's the 150,000, right? Which should give you about 21 cents each mile. So then, if that's the case, then what is going to be my total depreciation expense for year one?
$2,072.
$2,072. That sounds correct. So once again, it's going to do equal round because I know for a fact that my per unit rate isn't just 21. It's 21 yada 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 yada. So here, I'm going to take my total that I drove, which is the 10,000 miles. I'm going to multiply it by my 21 cents, comma 2, to give me 2,072. So that is correct. So then what is my accumulated depreciation?
The 2,072 again.
Perfect, yes, because we don't have a previous accumulated depreciation, so therefore it should be the 2,072. Okay? So therefore, what's going to be my book value?
$34,000. $34,008.
Oh, wait, okay, let's do it again. So the asset cost minus wait, let's do that again, sorry. The asset cost, F4, minus this. Good, $34,008. Okay, good. So what's my depreciation basis for year two?
Thing.
It, good. You recognize that it's going to be the same thing all the years. So in this case, I already I put absolute cell references on them. So therefore, yes, that means for all 7 years that this truck goes into play, it should be the same. Okay. Oh, okay. I see where it is. I have a split thing right here. Okay, so right, I have to merge these together and merge this one together. Okay, and therefore now they're all going to be $31.80. $80. Okay. So then, what is going to be my per unit rate? Yep, it's going to be the same all the way down. So once again, I think I absolute cell reference this. So therefore, I'm going to pull this all the way down because they're all going to be 21 cents at the end of the day. So the only difference now is the formula for my depreciation expense. What's it going to be for year two?
5250.
I got 5180.
5180. So again, if you rounded this number, once again, I told you, right? 21 cents isn't the actual number. It goes beyond that. So if you round it at 21 cents, then that's where you had the problem. It is actually 20 and 72 cents. Okay. So that's where you got the rounded number. Okay. So 5180 is correct. So therefore, what's my accumulated depreciation here?
$72.52.
72.52. Good. So then, what should be my book value?
828.
28,828. Excellent. Okay. So then, what's my depreciation expense for the third year?
$39.36.80.
39, 38, 39, 36, 80. Yep, good. Right, because I'm using relative, so I'm taking my units that I produced that year multiplied by my rate.
188.80.
11, yep. So then, what is my cost of or what's my book value, excuse me?
$24,891.20.
Good, excellent. Right. So once you get the hang of filling out the Excel and you know exactly what to do, pulling and dragging down the formula makes it so much easier to calculate everything. Okay, but let's go ahead and continue. What about my depreciation expense for year 4?
41.44.
Okay, good,
And then 15,322.80.
good. So what's my book value at the end of year 4?
747.20.
Good. So as we could see every year that we use the truck, it's slowly losing its value over time. Right? What happened on year 5? What's my depreciation expense for year 5?
$37,2960.
3729.60. So what's my accumulated depreciation?
$2.40.
Good. Okay. So making my book value to become what?
$17,017.60.
Excellent. Okay. 2 more and then we'll practice something else. So go ahead. So what's my depreciation expense for year 6?
$4,558.04.
Good. My accumulated depreciation for year 6?
$23,620.80.
Good. Therefore, making my book value at year 6 to be
459.20.
perfect. So that's how much it is after 6 years. It's still worth $12,000. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and depreciate it again. So what happened here? What's my depreciation expense for year 7?
$53.87.20.
53.87.20. Good. What's my accumulated depreciation?
$29,008.
Good. So therefore, my book value should be
$7,072.
good. All right. Now, I'm going to have a question for you. Can I go for year 8?
No, because it's 7 years lifespan.
All right. So, okay. So you say no.
I say yes.
Okay. Why?
Or you just have to maintenance it.
No, because you haven't reached your number of units produced. Your estimate is 150,000, but your total is only 140,000.
Good. Correct. So if you were to recognize that, okay, that means yes. But another thing too is, when did we place this asset into service?
We're 4 months left in the first year.
The first year we only had 4 months. So how old is this truck now?
6 years and 8 months.
Well, no, we depreciated it as of September.
It's still considered 7 years, but we're under the units produced.
Yes. But how old? Okay, so my question is, how old is my asset right now? So it's not 6 and 8 months, it's 6 and 4 months. So in this case, has it even reached 7 years old yet?
No.
No. So that's one thing that we can guarantee. And second of all, it doesn't matter how old the asset is, because a truck, right, can go on for many years, right? But the one thing that we have to do is we have to meet the capacity. So in this case, our capacity is 150,000 miles. We haven't reached that yet. So for this, let's go ahead and do it for fun. Year 8, right? How much more can we depreciate it to get to our end goal? How much more do we need to drive this machine for?
10,000 miles.
Exactly 10,000 miles. So if I were to just say I drove 10,000 miles, right? What's my depreciation expense for that 10,000 extra miles? Nope. I don't want that. Okay. So what's my depreciation expense if I were to drive that extra 10,000 miles?
2,072.
2,072. Okay. So once again, I'm just pouring my formulas down. 2,072. Therefore, what's my total accumulated depreciation?
31,080.
And therefore, what is my total book value going to be?
5,000.
There you go. So the key thing that we have here is, at the end of its useful life, so in this case, my 8th year, which in this case, I still have 8 months left to use on this truck. If I were to depreciate it, right, I still got 10,000 miles left on it. So therefore, here's the thing. My accumulated depreciation matches my depreciation basis. And one thing is for sure is that this number here, my $5,000, is matching my salvage value. So that's the two things that you need to check up when you are dealing with your depreciation basis. Okay. So again, that's extra work. So I just want to make sure that you can, because two things. It hasn't reached its capacity, and right now my asset is only 6 years and 4 months old. Right? I still got 8 months to keep driving it. Okay. Last but not least, question number 5 and question number 6 is to journalize this adjustment entry for the depreciation for the first year and the second year. So let's go ahead and dive into the first year. So what should my journal look like?
Depreciation expense.
Mm-hmm.
And then the contra is accumulated depreciation.
Mm-hmm. So depreciation expense, and you have accumulated depreciation. Good. For how much? What was the first year's depreciation?
2,072.
$2,072. Good. All right. What about for the second year? What should be my second year adjustment should be? What should it look like? 280. Say that again.
5180.
5180. Good. Excellent. So your journal's going to look the same. Okay. But the number is going to be 5180. Okay. Any questions in regards to this exercise? Okay. That's all that I want you to know. Okay. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy once you get the hang of Excel. But once again, I may ask you certain specific questions. I can ask you, what's the book value for the second year? What's the depreciation expense for the first year? Okay, so make sure that you know these formulas. Again, for the test, I'm going to allow you to have the cheat sheet, so make sure that you know what numbers to plug in. Pretty straightforward. As long as you have the information, you should be able to plug them in. Okay? Any questions?
No?
Okay. Well then, that's the first depreciation method. So again,